Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the podcast and the YouTube channel. Sal Vetri here, and today we're going to be breaking down a full 6-game slate. So we're back. The South Korean League is back as the LPL, the LCK. Both these leagues start to wind down and head into the postseason. Don't worry, DFS is going to continue all throughout the rest of April in those leagues, and then into May there'll be some other leagues that DraftKings is going to, right now I hear in the works from some connections there, be getting onto the platform. So it's going to be esports nonstop until the Summer League starts back up for the League of Legends, which is a few weeks later. So this is going to be for the Wednesday, it's going to be Wednesday, April 15th slate. So a lot to talk about. Before we do, this video is going to be sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight. Some exciting things to talk about in terms of Monkey Knife Fight. First of all, if you deposit with the link right down below in the description, if you deposit $10 with that link, they will give you 15 back for free. So you have 25 in your account now. And I'll also give you my League of Legends course totally free, which is a $30 value. So that's if you deposit $10, you get $15 from them as a bonus, and also the League of Legends course. But they're doing an NFL draft prop series. It's totally free to enter. There's like $55,000 in prizes. You can check that out. Again, if you use the link down below, it'll take you over there. Free to enter. Pretty cool stuff going on there. A nice way to get a little bit of a sweat while we watch our virtual NFL draft, which at this point is now less than 2 weeks away. So thank you all for being here. Monkey Knife Fight, thank you for sponsoring this video. I appreciate if you hit the subscribe button if you get any value from this. You want to check out my secondary channel where I'm going to be talking about business, marketing, money, all that type of stuff. You can find that at Mindset Money. I'll link that also down below. And then I have Patreon exclusive content in terms of projections every day, rankings, these data sheets on there, and even more stuff from some of the sports that I don't cover on YouTube, like CSGO, Rocket League, the Outlaw Tour in golf right now, some of these NBA projections, things like that. But let's get into it here with this 6-game slate, and pretty decent size in what we're getting used to here. Pretty decent size favorites across the board. Your nicest underdog, your smallest underdog is going to be KT Rolster right now as a plus 165 underdog against Gen Esports. Gen Esports on the opposite of that, a minus 222 favorite, the smallest favorite. Your largest favorites today are going to be T1. So right now, T1 is going to be a 435 favorite against AF today. And your second largest favorite is going to be IG, Invictus Gaming, which you can see the Shy, their top laner, on the slate as a minus 385 favorite over Team Wii, which is a solid team in Team Wii themselves. Out of all the underdogs right now, they've won 48.3% of their contests out of all the underdogs by far, producing the most kills. 14.4 kills per contest is the second highest on the slate, only to their opponent, Invictus Gaming. So potential opportunity there for a bloodbath. Invictus Gaming does die 15.8 times per game. You're getting the two teams that die the most on the slate and produce the most kills on the slate facing each other. This game, you want the winner of. Invictus Gaming is obviously the big favorite there. They win 71% of their rounds. So yes, they're going to be very appealing at every single position that we go through. But you want the winner of this game because they die a lot. They both pick up the second most kills, or both of them are in the top 2 in kills. Both of them are in the top 2 in deaths per contest. If this thing goes 3 rounds and it is not a 2-0 sweep in favor of Invictus Gaming or the huge upset of Team Wii, it doesn't even matter at that point. You still might be able to get some of these Team Wii players as losing players still dropping 80 to 100 points, which we've seen out of them before, Tichima, Jiangming. So we'll talk about them as we go through it. That is probably the most appealing game on the slate in terms of just overall points upside and what you can potentially see out of a bloodbath in this one. You're going to get a minus 370 favorite out of RNG after they lost 2 games and they get the 2-0 sweep. They have another nice matchup today against Dominus Esports. They die Dominus Esports the third most time on the slate, 13.4 times per game. Royal Never Give Up, RNG, is going to produce 13.4 kills per contest, 4th highest on the slate. You get a minus 303 favorite from Damwon Gaming against Sandbox. I just think Sandbox is a very pathetic team. They have the least percentage of wins right now on this slate. They only produce 0.83 kill death ratio, is the worst on the slate. 9.7 kills per game, second worst on the slate, only behind barely KT Rolster's 9.4. So Damwon Gaming is a minus 303 favorite, seems pretty secure right there. And then finishing it up with the last games on the slate, Edward Gaming, ED Gaming is going to be a minus 256 favorite against OMG, who just got swept 2-0 their last time out. OMG has a 0.92 KDR. It's not that great. You're going to see upside if they can actually pull off this victory, but that's kind of a game that you probably have a little bit of both sides of it. So kind of a very brief overview at the beginning of the day. Be sure to track the Vegas odds and obviously the starting lineups as they come out a little bit later on. I'm recording this around 9:50 in the morning East Coast time, the day before that is. So Looking at the top lane here, yeah, we talked about RNG against Dominus. I do like their odds. I mean, I think their 2 losses were against quality teams. They swept 2-0, a game where it seemed like they should sweep 2-0, and in this one, maybe not a sweep of 2-0, but I would not be shocked at that point. So I do think RNG looks fine all across. Lang X is the only $7,000 top laner. Looks fine to me. The Shy for Invictus Gaming at 6,600 seems like a very, very favorable price point for somebody who leads the slate in kills, who is pretty much a virtual tie for assists per contest, has the highest damage percentage on the slate out of every single player, including the bench players. So the Shy stands out at 6,600 as somebody who I would have assumed to probably be the most expensive player in the slate. You can see both the T1 top lane options. They're both very strong depending on Kana, and between Kana and Roach who starts. It's been Kana as of late. Kana has started 38 of the 42 contests, but just in case something weird happens, you got a lot of kill participation. 69.8% is the highest in the slate out of all the starters. That looks good. But you start to get to Team Wii. So the first underdog in terms of most expensive underdog is going to be Morgan from Team Wii, because they're just going to score a ton of points. Morgan will get 2.6 kills per contest in games, just on average. In victories, it's going to be over 3, and you get a lot of assists out of all the underdogs. Leads all the underdogs with 5.8 assists, and actually ranks 3rd on the overall slate. So Team Wii is going to be appealing on this slate in general. At every single position, you'll hear me sound like a broken record there because of just the matchup and the potential bloodbath that can be. Now, the Vegas odds show that they can easily get 2-0 swept, and don't think that they can't, but if this thing does go 3 rounds and 3 full rounds, it becomes a situation where a lot of scoring can happen. The one thing I will say is that both of these teams right now rank in the bottom 3 in the slate in terms of how quick their games end, in terms of pace, right around 31 minutes per game when you combine their averages, which is not great. You want those games to last longer, but if it does go 30 rounds and there's a ton of kills in a short amount of period of time, then we don't really care at that point. So Team Wii is going to be very appealing from that regard. The Shy just looks like the best overall play when you factor in price point. We'll see who starts for Edward Gaming. It can be one of 3 players. Gino has been starting as of late. I'll have an interest in all of them, as they'll have a nice individual matchup at top lane against OMG. To mid lane we go. You get 2 players at $8,000 or above, so pretty priced up mid lane here. You have 4 players above 7,500. We haven't had that in a while because, well, we haven't had a 6-game slate in a while since the weekend. So I do think that the rookie is going to stand out the most kills per contest by far. Only one over 4 kills per contest, 6.9 assists per contest out of all the consistent starters. Is going to be number 2 behind Team Wii's, the opposite side of this, Tichima. Tichima at $7,200 is a fantastic option. In a loss, Tichima can still get you a ton of points here. Obviously, I'm not advocating for it, but we've seen it happen about 3 times this year for Tichima, and really within the past month. You're getting 8.2 assists per contest, leads the slate. 72.2 kill participation, second best in the slate, and then you're getting the 3.7 kills per contest, second best on the slate. The 2 best mid lane options on this entire slate, just not factoring in like their Vegas odds, just 2 pure best players on the teams that they're in, is probably Rookie and Tichima. They're facing each other today, so I don't want them in the same lineup, but making sure to get to both of them, because the winner of that game is going to be huge. And if you still get a 3 rounds loss out of Team Wii, their price points will probably make them, in some situations, if you ran this out 1,000 times, viable. In a good amount of situations, more so than the average losing team on this slate today. So Tichima and Rookie will stand out in that regard. If I start to go down a little bit more out of some of these players, you can get to most of the favorites. I don't really think a ton of them are going to stand out as much. I think RNG just in general is a pretty secure spot to get to. Edward Gaming versus OMG, I can go either way on that one. Damwon Gaming versus Sandbox is a spot that I feel pretty good about. Damwon as a minus 303 favorite. Just a matchup individually against Sandbox does stand out. When you're looking at overall points upside, though, even in a victory for Showmaker, it's probably not the most, but you probably get lower ownership on that because people don't really think of Damwon Gaming as this fantastic option, but they're facing a team today that doesn't generate kills and that dies at an above average clip. Trying to look at some of the other potential underdogs if you were to see some sort of upset here, I think probably the one that stands out the most is going to end up being probably Icon from OMG as a plus 190 underdog. You get a decent amount of statistics. The player that's going to stand out in a, wow, he's very cheap sort of way is Faker. Faker is cheaper than Tichima, who's an underdog. A minus 435, the biggest favorite on the slate in Faker for T1 here against AF. Has started 42 games, the second most on the slate in terms of consistency there. And you're not getting a ton of great I would say, just scoring upside here. You're not getting a ton of kills or assists per contest, but if you factor in wins, it's going to look a lot better than most of the statistics on the slate for anybody. So Faker at 7,000, very cheap option. T1 in general usually comes in cheap, even when they're big underdogs. I don't really understand why. AF today dies 12.8 times per contest, fourth most on the slate, very close to being the third most. They only generate 0.84 a KDR, so it looks like a very good opportunity for them. And if you also want to take it an extra step there, they have the longest games, 35 minutes and 10 seconds AF. So if they can draw these games out and still lose, it's even better in terms of scoring for Dan1 on for T1 on the opposite side of that one. So I think that you're going to get a nice upside either way from whoever you take from the Team Wii versus IG game. Obviously, you would prefer the winner there. And then I think Faker at his price point is cheap. Icon is another underdog behind Teachama, at least stands out at the position. If we go over to support here, 3 players at $6,000 or above. Again, we haven't had many players above $6,000 as of late. Makes complete sense that Southwind is there, the best support player on the slate without a question, averaging a kill per round, averaging 9.6 assists per contest. But then this is the crazy thing. Team Wii, the underdog, the DraftKings is on this one in terms of both teams dying a ton and the most in the slate, both teams getting the most kills in the slate. The third most expensive support player today is missing from Team Wii. This is crazy. Normally the underdogs, as you can see, are much cheaper, $1,000 cheaper than everybody else on the slate. He is missing is $1,000 more expensive than the next underdog on the slate, the third most expensive. Now you're getting the most assists per contest. You're getting the best support player behind Southwind when you factor in Vegas odds on the slate. The problem is they're facing each other. So yeah, I don't have an issue with it. $6,000 is not a crazy price point, just relative to the other underdogs it is. So I'll be interested to see if Team Wii goes a little bit under-owned because of the fact that they're priced more expensive than pretty much everybody on Team Wii or everybody on T1, at this point. So yeah, it'll be interesting. And T1 is the biggest favorite on the slate. So yeah, I think that Southwind, I think that Missing are both fine. I think that you probably get Ming at 6,200 going a little bit lesser owned because one, people will be taking Missing as an underdog at that price point being still cheap, but a ton of upside. And obviously Southwind all the way up top with some very strong numbers at just 6,400. Ming sandwiched in between, you might get a little bit lower ownership there. Going down a little bit more, we'll see who starts for Gen Esports. Haven't talked much about them between Life and Kellen. If it's Life, I'll have a lot of interest there. 9.3 assists per contest is actually the third highest on the slate. 0.9 kills per contest, also tied for the third highest on the slate. Out of all these other underdog support players, not a ton is going to stand out. Cold all the way on the bottom, I guess, does just because of the cheap $4,200 price tag. But even in a victory, if Cold was to go out there and get you 50 points, there's a really good chance that 3 to 4 other support players, or at least 2 to 4 other support players in the slate, are dropping like 60 plus points or 55 plus points or a much more points at that point. Your only benefit there is that the price point's still cheap. So yeah, Southwind, Ming, Missing, I think it'll be interesting to see the ownership on Missing as an underdog, but that highly priced relative to the others. And I do think that you're getting nice price points at Life if he was to start for Gen Esports. Heading to AD Carry now. So AD Carry at the top of this, you're actually going to see Hope here, which obviously doesn't surprise me, but Edward Gaming not having a ton of expensive players in the slate, $8,400, a bit restricting. Maybe this lowers their ownership. Puff for Invictus Gaming is going to be the one that stands out the most. Without question, 5.7 kills per contest, 5 assists per contest, $8,200. Yes, if you want to put it in your captain spot, you're going to have to prioritize it. Otherwise, just getting in the AD Carry spot, getting unique in a different way makes sense. Betty for RNG. $8,000 is a fair price point. Teddy, you're actually seeing a decent price point on Teddy at $7,800 in terms of being a little bit expensive, but 31.5% damage rate is strong. 74% kill participation leads the slate. It's worth noting in creep score per minute. 41 starts so far. Teddy is a very secure option, is what all that means. So we went through all the favorites. Now you have Jingming from Team Wii, the 5th most expensive AD carry, ahead of 2 of the other favorites. So this is very interesting. 7,600 is a fair price point. If you put Jingming in 7,600 in the captain spot, even in a loss, you can still get an 80 to 100 point performance, which is crazy, at a reduced price point of 7,600. You can then fit a Betty, a Hope, a Teddy into that lineup and secure, or at least in a victory, secure another 80 plus points or right around there. So yeah, Jae-Ming is going to be in there. Again, these price points for an underdog being expensive, it'll be interesting. If you're seeing, let's say, there's a 12% chance or 14% chance that Team Wii can knock down the slate or be in a winning lineup, just based on overall points relative to the points on the slate as a whole in their stack, and now you're seeing that ownership when you're generating a bunch of your lineups, you're getting with basic rules in there, you're seeing that ownership is starting to come out to double that or something crazy, right? Now, that's probably extreme. Now, they obviously are not that great of a play when they're an underdog and they're expensive, and now they're also over owned. But if they're very low owned, well, they're expensive for a reason because they probably have a decent shot to score a ton of points. As you go down here, Dam 1, Nuclear. So Nuclear for Dam 1, 7,200. I don't love the talent that Nuclear has, quote unquote talent. You don't really get to see Dam 1 as this big of a favorite, only winning 50% of their rounds this year. But I think that's an interesting price point at just 7,200. Same thing for Ruler for Gen Esports. Those are two favorites that are very cheap. The $7,200 price tag is interesting. I guess we'll actually see between Nuclear and Ghost who starts. Nuclear started 25 of the 36 contests. If it is Ghost, you're paying $200 more, but you're also generating 5.5 kills per contest. But those cheaper players are the ones that, okay, you fit into 3-4-man stacks. Maybe you put the AD carry in your captain spot. It opens up a lot more for you to put in your more expensive stacks like Invictus Gaming, like Team We, like RNG. Heading down a little bit more, not much stands out all the way down here. I don't really want to get so much of Dominus Esports as of right now. Not much of Sandbox, AF, maybe, but not much. Smiles at the bottom at 6,200 is worth mentioning for OMG yet again. And not a ton of points on average or a ton of great stats on average, but in victories, these are going to spike to over 4 kills per contest, to over 5 assists or right around 5 assists per contest at the bare minimum $6,200. I'll probably have some OMG shares in there as just a plus 190 underdog. Heading over to the jungler position now, as many of you probably watching this for a good amount of time now, I just pretty much get to a lot of junglers. I don't really prioritize them too much. They're my third option, so they're not a priority. Priority ahead of top lane in support, but not mainly a priority, like an average priority to me behind mid lane, and then also number 1 behind AD carry. In my captain spot, whatever they end up getting to, they're very variant, but again, they can, because of them being variant, they can pop off a huge score, which is why I do prefer them over top lane and support, who are not as variant to high scores in terms of captain spots. So Liang has been starting for Invictus Gaming. $7,200 is a fair price point, but you're getting 5 players, but 3 different teams, junglers at $7,000 or above. That's expensive. Beisheng being one of them as an underdog, that's crazy. So I do think Team Wii is going to be a little bit lower owned, because how can you feel comfortable taking your shot, your underdog stack, and paying all the way up for it as if they're a top 2 or 3 favorite on the slate? And that's what these price points are showing. And I get it, even in a loss, they can still come through for you. We've seen it before from them, but that's a crazy price point for Beisheng at 7,000. I'm probably getting to other players in my stack more times than not, but yeah, it is probably a top 2 or 3 play on the slate. Clyde from Gen Esports is very interesting to me. Clyde is just $6,400, but one of the better players in the slate. If you're looking at just average fantasy points per game, it's going to be top 3 in the slate, top 2 really in the slate. You're getting 7 kills per contest, very good creep score, 5.5, strong damage for a jungler at 13.1%. That's a very good price point from Clyde at Gen Esports. We'll see who starts for Dominus on the opposite side of RNG, because that can actually open up a lot more for XLB. Depending on who starts, it could be a much better advantage. But XLB, 6,600. So these are some nice spots that you can target a little bit lower on. If Cuz starts over Elam, which has been happening as of late, won't have as much interest in the T1 side of it, but still the biggest favorite at a cheap price point. I guess jungler overall, yeah, I get interest to a lot of them. If you have access to PATRON, it's usually me putting maybes by them. They're in a weird spot that they're not cheap enough to make a stack kind of sway in that direction, like a top laner support. If you have a really good support player like Southwind that we went through, a really good top laner like Deshai for Invictus Gaming, both those players, their price points being cheap enough with their upside can actually sway your stacks a little bit. A jungler, they have upside, but their price points are also up there, so it's a little bit harder for it to move things around. So they don't usually take priority in really value and or upside because of where their position kind of slots into not being a very high upside play like AD carry mid, and not a great value play compared to some of the top end support and top laners. Finishing up with the team slot, I'd like to ask you right now, again, link down below is Monkey Knife Fight, sponsor of the video. They do props over there, prop betting. It's very fun. The projections that I have for the fantasy points can help you there, and also identify situations where some of the kills and assist props might be good. Check it out. See if it's legal in your state. I believe it's legal in like 35 or out of 50 states. So what you can do right now, you go down below, the link in the description, Monkey Knife Fight, you click it. If you deposit $10, if you deposit up to 50, they'll give you 50 back. But if you deposit 10, they'll give you 15 back if it's your first deposit. And then they'll let me know, where you can reach out if you want to, and you don't want to wait a couple hours, but they'll let me know that you deposited through my link. And I'll also send you the League of Legends course as well. And they have the NFL stuff, so it's pretty cool. The NFL props going on now as well. Right here for the teams, I'll have interest in all the favorites. I'll have interest in Team Wii. I'll have interest in Team Wii at $4,000 is a crazy price point. That's where you probably get to. If you do some 3-man stacks of Team Wee, maybe you get to Jung Ming, their AD carry. You get the Team Wee's team because they're only $4,000, and this is where you can start to make sense out of rostering them as a 3-man stack or even a 2-man stack. But yeah, again, to reinforce it, Invictus Gaming, Team Wee facing each other. Both of them die the top 2 times in the slate, and both of them pick up the top 2 assists on the slate. Their games usually don't end that long. This should be a bloodbath. So I'll have interest in all the 5 favorite or all the 6 favorites. In terms of rostering in my team spots, Team Wee, that's probably it. Maybe I'll go to OMG. I'm not sure if I'll X them out yet since there's so many other teams in the slate, but maybe I'll get to some OMG team spots as well. Thanks for tuning into this video. I greatly appreciate it. If you watched all the way through, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. But I urge you, check out my other channel. It'll be on the link down below. It's called Mindset Money. I talk about business, marketing, and just money over there. So I've been doing some stuff in terms of the stimulus checks for the coronavirus. It's totally a different avenue, still revolves around numbers. But it's just, I want to help people as much as I can get into a lot of my different interests because of what's going on right now in the world, having a good grasp on the fantasy esports side of things. I find an extra hour or so in the mornings each day, supplementing that time with creating other content instead of reading as of right now, trying to find the trade-off there. So thank you. I appreciate you tuning in, sticking through that little spiel there, but appreciate it. Check out all the stuff in the description, some free strategy guides, link over to Patreon to get these projections and rankings and all that for esports, all the esports, even the ones that I don't create content on here on YouTube. And yes, check out Monkey Knife Fight. Appreciate you all. Peace out, gang, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed that video. Above my head, if you're not already subscribed to this channel, I do ask you if you can please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a good amount to reach more people. You can also follow me on Twitter. That's over there. Right in the corner is my @SalVetriDFS Twitter. And then above, you'll find my Patreon link. You can click on that if you want more exclusive content for me. Or a video is going to pop up, so why don't you check that one out as well. I think it's going to be beneficial for you. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.